Hello and welcome back to Rocket Top Mini. This is episode 2. I'm your host Johnny, and I'm joined today by two guests, Luke and Gabe. For today's topic, we're going to be focusing on the newly released Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition game for the Nintendo Switch, and we'll try to be as spoiler-free as possible. So we're going to start with Gabe. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into the Xenoblade franchise?
Hello everyone, I'm Gabe. I do video game covers on YouTube under the name Gabocarina96. And so what was the question you said?
What got you into Xenoblade? The entire franchise.
Yeah. Okay, so what got me into Xenoblade basically is there's my friend Shady Cicada on YouTube, and the new game, well, Xenoblade 2, at the time was coming out. He was super hyped for it, sending me music of the game and stuff, and I thought it was like some of the best fighting music I have ever heard in a video game, and I was like, I gotta at least check this game out. So I got it for Christmas that year, knowing absolutely nothing about Xenoblade at that point. And that's where my love for the series began, and since then it's been non-stop playing the games.
Awesome. And Luke, why don't you tell us about what got you interested in the franchise as well?
Oh, sure. Let's see. Yeah, I played it when I was back in college when it initially came out. I saw it, just kind of heard about it, like the whole Operation Rainfall, where people were wanting it localized and Nintendo didn't really want to localize it, but people, basically bullied them into doing it. And so I got really excited about it, really interested. I saw a couple reviews on YouTube where people were like, this is like really good, and like what Gabe said, like the music is great and the gameplay is really interesting, the stories. So yeah, that's when I started. I pre-ordered it that year, got a copy, and then from that point on, it took me about a year to beat it the first time, because this game is not short by any means.
I'm noticing that, yeah.
But it was really satisfying to kind of beat it and take a break from it, then come back to it. It's got a really satisfying story and really good characters. And ever since then, yeah, I pretty much get all the Xenoblade games kind of day one. I got X day 1 and 2 as well.
So can you tell me, guys, what was your initial reaction to the reveal trailer for the Definitive Edition? Whoever.
All right, I'll go first.
Yeah.
I was actually really not expecting that, because people were talking about it, like, what if now that 2 is on the Switch, they put 1 or X on Switch, and I was like, maybe X, since they ported other Wii U games, but not 1, because 1 already got its sort of remake on the 3DS. I don't think Nintendo will remake that same game twice. So when that happened, it was a short direct too, I completely freaked out, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's happening.
Yeah, the reaction was pretty much the same for me. I didn't see it coming at all, and I was like, what? Yes! I'm so excited!
Yeah, I the only experience I've had with Xenoblade is Super Smash Bros. And so I didn't really know. I mean, I knew Shulk was from that, but I didn't know anything about who he was.
Yeah. Xenoblade has the Fire Emblem problem, where everyone knows the characters from Smash, and then they don't actually play the games.
Yep, that was me. But I knew that I was gonna play. I knew I wanted to get into the series. I don't exactly remember what it was that first drew me to it, but I know that Gabe, you posting a lot of stuff definitely helped to fuel the hype for getting into the series for me to begin with. And at first I was going to buy the second game on Switch, but then when they announced that they were going to be porting the first one to Switch, I was like, well, that's a better place to start anyway. So
Yeah.
What is it about this game and series of games that stands out to you for the JRPG genre in general? Luke, why don't you go first?
Oh, that is a great question. Especially since I recently got back into Dragon Quest, which is a really good comparison. It's Xenoblade it modernizes a lot, and of JRPG kind of tropes and ideas, while at the same time definitely having its own things. For me, a lot of it is, at least for Xenoblade 1. Xenoblade 2 we can talk about if we want to, but the writing in Xenoblade 1 I really liked. It was definitely an anime kind of, kind of over the top story, but it's really creative and surprisingly grounded in a lot of its character work, which I really enjoyed. And there's also a certain level of freedom in the Xenoblade games that generally aren't present in a lot of other JRPGs, which is not a bad thing. Like I love Dragon Quest to death, but Xenoblade just offers that kind of, oh, it's the classic, oh, you see that mountain over there, you can go climb it, and and if you and there's always something, and Monolith Soft just does such a good job at like creating really interesting worlds to explore with like compelling reason to explore as well.
And Gabe?
For me, it's like it's totally different from other JRPGs in the sense that like you'll generally get a story that's about a chosen one starting a journey to defeat evil, find like a few friends on the way, collect the 7 crystals, go fight, and it's always like that. But then you have Xenoblade, which I won't spoil the story of course, but it goes the complete opposite, or when you think it's going to be a story like that, it just absolutely destroys your expectations, but in the best way possible, really.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's, yeah, again, not to spoil the plot, but there's a lot of really good subversions of kind of what you would expect from this story.
If I can add something, that usually in JRPGs you'll get your character build system where their armor and like that, but in Xenoblade 1 and 2, it's like you're basically only limited by your imagination with what you can do, or like character builds. And if you want to fight like easy super boss or something that you're like under level to beat him, there is still a way to beat him if you know what you're doing with like perfect like team building and like choosing the good arts for it, equipment, everything. It lets you be so.
Yeah, I've definitely I mean, I can't personally compare this to other JRPGs because I am, unlike you guys, I'm not. I'm very new to the genre, but from what I've known, being kind of an outsider to the genre, it is very streamlined, and there's a lot of things that make it easier for me to understand, and I get to play it the way I want to play it. And so I know that there's a lot of options, but it never feels overwhelming. Like I love the fact that with each character that I get on my party, I get to decide how do I want to build this character, and usually I try to go with, if this character can heal a lot, then I'll try to focus primarily on that. Whereas if this character is more on, being a tank, I'll focus more on that. But there's a lot of options that you can subvert that. You can say, well, I want my healer to also be strong, or I want my, tank to also, have healing arts or whatever. It's very nice to have the choices there, even if I don't, even if it's gonna take a while to max out all their stats. Part of that is also kind of the fun, like part of the fun, process, because I get to see characters grow the way that I want them to. So, the game's been out for almost a week, about 5 or 6 days now. How far are you guys currently in the game?
I'm not ashamed to at all, but I'm already like 40 hours into the game itself, like the entire thing. But I have I think hours, the extra story.
Yes.
And about 30 hours on the main game already, and I'm taking like so much time with this game. I'm doing every side quest, and so my progression is very slow, but essentially I just reached Alchem Imperial.
Oh, okay. And you, Luke?
Yeah, yeah, I'm kind of taking the same route as Gabe, because the first time I played through it, a couple things happened. When it first came out, everyone was saying, like, skip all the side quests, they're worthless. Turns out they were wrong. So, like, it actually led to me actually being severely underleveled. When I did beat the game, I had to, like, spend a long time lighting and stuff. So, yeah. So, like, I basically didn't see any of that side content, like the whole rebuilding of, you rebuild something, let's say. I'm not going to spoil it, but...
Sure.
that whole thing I didn't really see. So like, yeah, I'm basically following what Gabe's doing. I'm taking it real slow. I jumped into Future Connected just to see what it was, and I was really excited to see it. I was like, yes, this is like new Xenoblade content. This is really cool. I had to stop though because I had to be like, okay, they're throwing me in here with all these mechanics. I need to remember how to play this game first before I can jump in here. So I feel like I'm getting there.
Yeah, as far as the side quests go, I read or I listened to a lot of reviews that also said that if you do the side quests, then you'll be at least where you need to be, but likely even more like overpowered. And so I'm stuck in this endless loop where I'll go to a new location and I'll have done the previous location side quests, like all of them, and so then I'm good to go. I get to this new location, and then I get to a certain point where I just start skipping all of the new areas side quests because I'm like, oh, I'm good, no worries. And then I get defeated, and it's impossible to keep going, and then I have to go back, and then I do all the side quests, get to the next level, skip all the side quests, get beat, and then have to go back. And so I'm in this endless cycle of like spending 3 or 4 hours doing side quests in an area before I can continue on with the story. And I don't mind it because it's kind of like at a certain point it's kind of like I don't like there's a lot of like I think there's a lot of time you have to spend thinking about how to prep for side quests, but doing them is kind of mindless. So I can kind of like I usually like watch a show when I'm playing a video game, just kind of or listen to a show while I'm playing a video game, and doing the side quests has helped me kind of like it's kind of like endless slashing and just kind of defeating monsters, and with the fact that it's auto attack is helpful with that for sure.
No, no, Gabe, continue.
It's funny what you say about side quests, because it's like if you compare that to Xenoblade 2, it's just totally different. Because Xenoblade 2, you can actually beat the game without doing so many side quests, and the side quests in 2 are actually going to take like some of your time, and like there's story to side quests in 2, but in 1 it's like not so much. It's essentially just a way to get more XP and get better in that game.
Yeah, that's definitely what I've noticed. Oh, I mean, not for Xenoblade 2, but for the first one, yeah, it's not too focused on the game. It's just very defeat these monsters, or talk to this person, or find this item for me, which is kind of fun because it helps me to like understand and explore more locations in the map.
Right. They're again, don't want to spoil too much, and Gabe knows what I'm talking about. But in Xenoblade 1, there is a point where like certain side quests become more I wouldn't say relevant, but there's a certain what would I even call it, kind of driving factor, let's say, in making you want to do side quests, that I like. Again, it's something I skipped the first time, and I'm particularly excited to see how that works out, because I in anticipation of this game coming out, I went on YouTube and watched all these people talk about it. And they were like, yeah, like there's all this cool stuff, and I was like, I missed all of that.
Wow. I'm super excited. I mean, I've talked to both of you guys individually about the game itself and the game series, and hearing about what's to come is just, it has me so excited. I'm currently so I have Dunban, Melia, and Ricky, and
Okay, so yeah, you're actually pretty deep into it then.
Yeah. But Melia left because we got like she had to go talk to her. I think it was her dad, right? Her
Oh, so
father?
you just got so you just met the high-end team.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Yes, and so I'm without Melia at the moment, but that's currently where. So I'm really excited to see what's to come, because you guys have this like hyped up for me. So I'm enjoying it as I'm playing. So
It goes places. That's all I'll
A
say.
lot of places.
I'm so excited, you guys. So can you guys tell me, Gabe, we'll start with you. What quality of life improvements are you most happy about in this remastered version?
Well, first of all, it's not really quality of life, but the graphics, just the graphics themselves are just so much better, and just the UI when you fight, like everything that's on screen has been like reduced to the bare minimum, but it works like that. It's no longer like big, ugly black squares with like the name of the characters on them for like your health and everything. But and I really like the fact that now you have an actual health bar and not just like numbers. Because in the original, you could see like, okay, I have like 200 health over like 500, and I'm like, okay, but give me an health bar. There was like an XP bar, but no health bar.
Weird.
So now it's just so much better. They also made like menus so much easier to understand, or like quicker to navigate at least.
Yeah, I completely agree with like everything you're saying. Yeah, the UI, I mean, just the graphics, the game looks so much better. On the Wii, the art style still shone through. Like you could tell it was still like really good art in there, but at the same time, it was on the Wii, you know. But now it's like, man, it just looks really good. And yeah, and the UI the same, yeah, because it was kind of a pain to navigate the UI on the Wii, and now it's just way easier. Also for me though, like it's not really quality of life. It kind of is just because it's quality. They remastered the music, and so far it is like it's somehow better. Like I didn't think they could do that, but it's like the music is somehow better in my opinion.
Totally better.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not that the original is classic, but like I love that they didn't actually go overboard, just like rearranging all the songs, like making them way too far from the originals. They just took the same arrangement but made them sound even better with real instruments and everything. It sounds so good.
Yes.
So is this your guys' favorite game in the Xenoblade series? The first one?
For me, no.
No,
It's,
okay.
It's my personal favorite is Xenoblade 2, but I know I'm in some sort of minority here because I think most people prefer Xenoblade 1, but for me it's 2. I can explain later why, but for me it's 1. It's 2, I mean.
Yep. For me, it's I'm in the camp for 1. Like I don't get me wrong, I like Xenoblade 2 because it's still Xenoblade and it still does all that stuff. But yeah, for me, 1 is it's kind of a special game for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can't yet back up why Xenoblade 2 is great, but I give me a few months and then I'll be able to.
That's great.
So who is your guys' favorite playable character in the game, and why is it Ricky?
Because it has to be. It's the pro game. All the other guys are
Exactly.
That's right. He's the hero pawn. Come on.
Exactly. I knew. I didn't know much about Ricky going in, but I knew enough to know that I would love him forever, and he needed to be protected at all costs. And so when I got to the his hometown that's like in a tree, I got to Ricky's house before I ever met Ricky, and as soon as I got there, I was so excited. I was like, "Show me, where's he at? Where's the cute fluff boy at?" And then there was a cutscene introducing him, and I'm like, "Nope, this guy is gonna be my pet or child, and he will be that forever."
That's great.
What about you guys? Aside from obviously Ricky, who's just unfair when it comes to picking a favorite character, who are some of your favorites?
That is a really tough question, especially knowing how the game ends.
Ooh. Yep, no spoilers.
There's a lot of really good character development in this game. Like it's like these characters grow like really well. Like I was gonna say, like, you know, Ricky's kind of the comic relief character, but he has some like fantastic character moments later on in the game. Man, I think I'd probably go with Melia, both from like a mechanics perspective and a character perspective. Like mechanically, she's really interesting to play. Kind of having to, you know, manage the 3 spirits you have up, and then kind of essentially creating your build on the fly. It's kind of like Invoker from Dota 2, but and also just from a character perspective, because she goes through a lot in the game and deals with so much, and she still maintains this really positive attitude, and that's kind of why that's also why I'm really excited to play through Future Connected, because Future Connected is all about Melia, which I am psyched about.
What about you, Gabe?
For me, it's hard to say because I love all the characters in this game, but for me personally, they don't go far enough with them in their past, especially compared to Xenoblade 2, where all the characters get like crazy spotlight from their past and everything. But I'll go with Shulk. I know it's the boring choice, but I really love Shulk as a character, as like the especially as a main character. He's my favorite main character in Xenoblade, that's for sure. But aside from Shulk, I really like Fiora personally.
Oh yeah, Fiora is another really good one.
I don't. So one thing that I really love about this is that it gives me time to really get to know some of the characters that I would think that otherwise would be just kind of like just there. And I love that they're implementing them into the story, not just to be like, oh, I'm supposed to be a playable character, so I'm gonna join you for no reason. But there's actually a reason to have them join, which, you know, it doesn't happen. Again, I'm new to JRPGs, so I don't know necessarily how often this is the case, but I love that they implemented a realistic, real-world reason for these characters to be together, rather than just like, oh, I'm supposed to be the tank, so I'll join you because reasons. But like for Charla, for example, when she was introduced, she had a legitimate reason to. She didn't want to leave, but she had to go save her brother, and so it was a real world reason why she needed to go on the quest to save her brother. And then she got to know Shulk and Rhine, and then she helped them out with the rest of the quest. And no spoilers, of course, but and I don't know how much Charla is going to be like involved in the main plot going forward, but it seems to me like she won't be that much. And again, I could be wrong, don't tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me like she won't be, and I'm actually okay with that because she already had a lot of time to shine, and I really appreciate that. So, you know, I love that. Like, that's just one example, but then you have Dunban, who it seems to be like, you know, the you know, he is the war hero, and he has a lot more at stake because of his past and his history. And so I'm excited to see what happens with him. And Melia, she just, like, everything like you said, Luke, to me when I saw her, I was like, oh, she is gonna bring a lot of something to the table, and I don't know what it is yet, but I'm so excited to see what it is, because just you look at Melia and you're like, oh, you're important. I know you're important.
You had no idea.
I don't, and I'm so excited that I don't, you know?
Yes. I'm very jealous that you get to experience the game kind of fresh with this new version, because it really is the best way to do it.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, you're in for a ride, and that's what I enjoy. Like, I'm listening to you talk about, like, I don't know if like that character is gonna stay. I don't know, whatever, and it's like, oh my goodness, you're in for a ride.
Oh, so like, okay, so I'm on chapter 8, and I read that there's 17 chapters. Is that correct? Do you guys? Okay. At roughly what point does stuff start to turn around? Because not that it's not slow or anything. Like, I'm definitely engaged, but from what you guys are saying, it looks like it's going to be a wild roller coaster of a ride. So,
without spoilers, I would say you're once you get to, I forget, it's not Alchemath. What's the city?
I think it's Alchemath.
Oh, it is Alchemath. Yeah. Okay.
It's an island.
Yep. That's what I'm thinking of. Yep, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. Because once you get through this section, that's where, like, for lack of a better word, shit starts to go off the rails.
Okay.
The game is about to start. Like,
oh, good. I'm so excited, you guys. Okay, so are there, in your guys' opinion, are there any changes to this game that is actually a downgrade from the original?
Yeah, because everything they changed works, and pretty much like everything, like, they didn't really change much mechanically. I don't think really much at all. Yeah, it just looks better, and it sounds better, and and there's better UI, which is great.
having it on the Switch now, are you guys ever going to pick it up on the Wii?
Actually,
I already have it on.
No, I mean,
yeah,
again,
me too.
like, are you going to play it again?
Copy.
Do you have any reason to play it again on the Wii, do you think, or is this...
No.
No? Okay.
No.
So you both have tried Future Connected now. So we'll start with Luke. Tell me some of your general thoughts about it.
Yeah, so I mean, So I kind of knew the background of the area. So it takes place on the Bionis shoulder. This was an area that was cut from the game back when they were developing it, and it's something that like hackers and modders kind of dug into and were able to discover. But you couldn't access it in the actual game itself. So like I am psyched to explore a new area that they built out and that wasn't available before, and just explore that world some more, because it's, again, as I said before, the premise of that story is so fascinating that instead of planets, you have these massive, giants that people live on. I think is just such an interesting idea for a story that I'm excited to see them dig into that some more.
And Gabe?
For me, well, I already beat it, so I want I 100%ed it in 14 hours, so it's really not that long, especially if you don't go for 100%. But anyways, without spoiling, I absolutely loved my time with it. Like, especially if you love Nopons, okay, you're in for a treat. But essentially, I think it's one of my favorite locations in Xenoblade 1, if we can count that as Xenoblade 1 still, but I think it counts. I absolutely love the world. That's my biggest appreciation for it, and the story itself was for what it is, because they couldn't do too much, because they can't spoil anything from they can't like spoil too much of Xenoblade 2 for people who didn't play Xenoblade 2. So it's like for what they did, it was like the perfect fan service extra story they could have done, and I really loved it.
Awesome. So kind of you mentioned Xenoblade 2. Does Future Connected tie into Xenoblade 2? No? Oh, okay. I never understood if like, is the Monado in the other games as well?
No.
Or,
No.
No? Okay. I guess I knowing so little about the games, I just I always wondered what the connection was between all of the games, if it's not the sword.
Yeah, so
Spoiler.
yeah.
It's a spoiler. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a spoiler. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we'll just leave it there.
Okay.
Yeah, just you can only like play it for yourself and see. There's like no every game is playable by itself, and you'll understand just fine. But if you played 1 or played 2 before playing 1, whatever the order, you'll get like little surprises, let's say, and I can't talk about it much.
Well, I will definitely be talking to both of you guys as soon as I get to whatever point that is.
You'll know when it happens.
Do you guys think that Future Connected is reason alone enough to buy the game? If you've already played it, for those who might have exhausted the original on the Wii, is Future Connected enough to spend $60 on the game, or?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, playing Future Connected comes with Xenoblade 1, which has been completely remade. So just that, it's like, after playing Xenoblade 1, who doesn't want to jump back in like 10 years later with HD graphics? So I'd say yes, but if somebody were to buy it and doesn't care for Xenoblade 1 and just wants to play the expansion, you won't get like $80 worth or $60 in the US worth of gameplay for that game only.
Yeah, if you go in cold, you'll also have like no idea what is going on with
Sure.
any of these characters.
And so then, what other Switch games would you recommend to players like myself who are completely new to JRPGs, with Xenoblade Remastered being my first game?
Dragon Quest XI.
Dragon Quest 11. All right.
Yes,
And Gabe?
it is.
Oh, well, I guess Luke, tell me why.
Oh yeah. So it's It's the most recent Dragon Quest game. Dragon Quest is a kind of one of the not proto. It's just kind of the first JRPG series. Came out in the '80s and kind of set the groundwork. 11 came out in 2018. 2019 was re-released on the Switch, and it's the best version of the game. It's a more traditional JRPG, but at the same time it does those things you talked about. Like it has like really well written characters. It it has a real like a fun but still like believable world and like a believable situation for the characters to be in. But it still has it follows certain tropes, but at the same time it still subverts those in actually a really fun way. And also,
beautiful.
oh, it's gorgeous. Yep, it's absolutely beautiful.
Gabe, what about you?
Well, obviously, if you play Xenoblade 1, you'll have to play Xenoblade 2 and Xenoblade 2 Tornado Golden Country. But,
Of course.
For a real, like, recommendation, especially if for somebody who enjoys, like, Xenoblade and Zelda, I'll say Ys 8, the Lacrimosa of Dana.
That is a fantastic recommendation.
I've never even heard of it.
It's such a good game. I mean, it probably looks better on PS4, but I personally played it on Switch and I thought it looked alright. But I was blown away by how deep the story goes for that game. It's like almost Xenoblade level of, well, maybe not that deep of a story, but it's still like, for a JRPG, I thought it went like places I never thought it would go, and the gameplay is just super fun.
Yeah, the gameplay in that game. For context, it's more of an action RPG versus like Xenoblade is like, very much you get into combat and you're picking skills and whatnot. This is more like Devil May Cry or something where you're actively like hacking and slashing away at enemies, and it's so much fun. It gets really intense at certain points.
Yet you still use arts, so it's like it's like you do have your. It's like instead of having auto attack in Xenoblade, you would mash the same button over and over to attack, but you can use like a pop up another menu to then choose some arts and shoot better attacks.
All right, and
the exploration and music, by the way, are so good in that game.
Oh yeah, I can second that too. It's also like a unique soundtrack because it's like really like rockin'. Like there's a lot of guitars in that soundtrack, and it's really good.
There seems to be a lot of popular opinions about the music in particular about games in the JRPG genre, and that alone is enough reason that interests me to want to play more of them, because I'm a huge fan of video game music.
Don't even get me started on Persona 5. That has that acid jazz soundtrack is so good.
Oh, you mean Joker from Smash Bros?
Oh, exactly. Yes, Joker. The game we all know him from.
I'm joking.
No, I know. Let's see. Let's say, Luke, do you have any anything you want to add about Xenoblade Definitive Edition to anybody that's never played the game before and is on the fence of picking it up or not?
If you're on the fence, I mean, it's a really good way to get into JRPGs, just because it skips a lot of the hurdles. Like, you can save anywhere, you heal automatically after battle, you can just run away from battles real easy, you can try again. There really isn't any grinding. It's a really good entry point. And it's just a really high quality JRPG.
For sure, yeah, and I can attest to all of that. Yeah, like I said, I'm new to it and I'm loving it. The characters, the story, the gameplay, the mechanics, everything is just streamlined and good for a hardcore JRPG fan or a newcomer like me. So, and then Gabe, what about you? I mean, I'm sure that there might be a lot to repeat, but what do you think about, what would you tell somebody that's on the fence about getting it?
Well, I will say this, for somebody who's on the fence about the Xenoblade series in general, I will say, start with 1. For many reasons, start with 1. I started with 2, it was no big deal, but start with 1 because first of all, it's the easiest to understand. I think it brings on the the core mechanics of the Xenoblade series, and then the other games expand upon it. So if you start at another game, it will be like harder to get into to understand all the mechanics and stuff, because there's a lot more stuff in the other games. But Xenoblade 1 is like the perfect spot for somebody who's maybe just tired of the classic JRPG recipe where you turn-based combat and everything, and wants something a little bit more, a deeper story and everything. Amazing soundtrack. It's the place to start to get a fresh experience.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank both of you guys. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Gabe, for coming on and talking about the newly released Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition game. Gabe, can you tell us more about where we can find you?
Well, I'm on YouTube under Gabocarina96. Actually, I'm everywhere as Gabocarina96. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. And on there, I do guitar covers of video game music.
Awesome. And Luke, you don't have anywhere to plug, but I want to thank you again. Thank you both for coming on and talking. This has been Rocket Talk Mini, episode number 2. Be sure to like and subscribe and let us know what you want to listen from us next. Thank you all for watching. Bye.